I hate, I despise your festivals, and I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Even though you offer me your burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them, and the offerings of well-being of fatted animals I will not look upon. Take away from me the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the melody of your harps. But let justice roll down like the waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. When it comes to worship, we have lots of choices today. Just on the drive from here to the interstate, there are about 5 churches. But within a reasonable drive, there's just about any type of worship anyone might desire. There are huge churches, tiny churches, house churches. There are churches where they worship with drums and guitars, video screens and glitzy lights, banners, and dancers. On the other end of the spectrum, there are churches with magnificent pipe organs, orchestras, large choirs, much formality and grandeur. Sometimes it's almost like a competition of who has the best worship and who can draw the most people. Sometimes we might question who it is that we're trying to please. Is it God or is it people? In Amos, we find a people, the Hebrew people, who have great worship. They have incredible services at holidays, much like the Christmas Eve services that we are known for here at Liberty. And their poinsettias are never wilted. Everything is perfect. They have extraordinary singers and musicians who never miss a beat and are always on cue. They give sacrifices and make generous offerings to God. They're doing all the things that people are supposed to do in worship when they're worshiping God, and they're doing it well. But God is telling them to take it away. He is saying to them, I am not pleased with your worship. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't even want to smell it. God seems to be just a little bit angry. We're left wondering, what in the world is it that has God being so mad? What is it about their worship that is so despicable to God? But the thing is, it's not the worship that's the problem. It's that the worship is a farce. They are pretending to be so holy, to love God so passionately, but all the while, they are not simply abusing other people. They are abusing their own people, God's chosen people. You see, a lot of Hebrew people evidently have done rather well for themselves. But there are those who have not. And instead of helping these people, they are using them to meet their own benefits. Oh, they will lend money, but if there is any problem in paying it back, they won't let them work it off. Instead, they will take them into custody and sell them as slaves to other countries. They send them away from their own people where they cannot worship their own God with their people. In other cases, when they are brought to court, there is no such thing as a fair trial. It's all about making money and collecting fines. They turn around and then use the fines they collect to buy the wine for their fine worship. This is not just a matter of showing compassion. This is a matter of pouring vinegar on open wounds, and they are doing it for the sake of money. So yes, God is angry. He's had enough. And he sent his prophet Amos to declare to the people that he's done with it. He sent Amos to inform them that it's going to stop. But the people don't want to hear what God has to say. In fact, they have forgotten what God told them long, long ago. The thing that is most important to him. And it's not worship. Long ago, Moses was called upon the mountain by God and was given instructions as to how the nation of Israel was to live. He gave Moses the 10 Commandments, but then he summed it up in one great commandment. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. The thing that is most important to God isn't worship, it's love. It's love for God, and love is not synonymous with worship. God gave Moses 10 commandments, and he also gave him all the laws that tell the children of Israel how to show their love of God in their relationships with him and with one another. But the people of Israel have forgotten. In fact, they have ignored the very next words that follow the command to love God. Keep these words that I am commanding you in your heart. Recite them to your children and talk about them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you rise. Bind them as a sign on your hand, fix them as an emblem on your forehead, and write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. These are instructions to take great care that the command, love the Lord your God, is remembered through every day, through all generations. They are to be treated as a treasure, locked in your heart, not to be taken away. We are reminded of them constantly. We are to remind each other of them constantly. We are to teach them. God is saying in no uncertain terms to make sure that this command, what he thinks is important, is passed from generation to generation. And it's by teaching that we make sure that those things which are important to us are not forgotten. All of these are ways that the command to love God is made permanent, made part of our whole lives. You notice that several of these activities involve other people. We do not learn to love God in isolation. My friends, the Jewish religion and our own religion, which stemmed from it, are both social religions. When Jesus was asked what the greatest commandment was, he replied, love the Lord your God. And then he added to it another one as well, love your neighbor as yourself. It is through sharing our lives with one another that the differences which separate us are bridged. When we lose this connection, we begin to lose our ability to care. We lose our sensitivity to one another. It is by bringing together all of us, by being together, that we keep in touch with the needs of the community our neighbors, and of the larger world. It is together that we share the teachings that remind us what God really desires of us. When we become isolated, we become like single drops of water. Drops alone are virtually powerless, even useless. But when drops of water come together, they are no longer merely drops. Recently, we had a Valentine's dinner for the older adults of our congregation. It was a joyous occasion. People came together and not only shared a meal, but they shared their stories. They got to know each other, and we came to care about each other in new ways through learning about each other. They experienced the love of God. They came to know each other. They grew to love. I can't tell you how many times in the days before and the days after that I have heard the words, I didn't know that we had this many people of this age group. Almost 30 drops of water came together that night and became more than solitary drops. People came together and something bigger began to happen. Who knows what could come of this? Who knows what will happen when you find others who have like interest or who would like to learn something and you begin spending time together doing those things, and soon you may be saying to each other, you know, we have friends who enjoy doing this too. We should invite them. And then they come, and later in the conversation, you may find that you all have something that you are very concerned about. And you realize, hey, together we can do something about this, something to help that will really make a difference in the situation. You take a risk and you do it. And you're sharing the love of God. Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. When I hear these words, I see a powerful, pounding waterfall of love. That waterfall is made of tiny drops, but the power that is released by those drops coming together washes away and destroys our differences and our mistreatment of each other. Below those falls, the river flows, taking the goodness of that love and connecting the people of all the communities that it touches. Both rivers and waterfalls are made of drops of water, but both begin with single drops coming together. Now, I don't know exactly what it was that happened in the days of Amos, but I'm pretty sure that they had lost touch with one another and the meaning of love. Worship had become their only understanding of how to love God, and they had turned it into a performance to please Him, which had nothing to do with the love that was His true desire. Certainly, God desires that we show His love to Him through worship, and we certainly draw our own strength and sustenance from it. But when we come together as God's people, His highest desire is not just that we worship, but that we come together and become that mighty waterfall of love, sharing our lives with each other, and together taking into the world that love to reach those who so need solace for their wounds instead of vinegar. Amen.